Hi, thanks for joining us today. We're discussing how to spot and retain talent, because in today's global war for talent, it is critical that companies know how to find the right people and keep them. Joining me in studio is Gavin Simonovitz from Feedback Rocket and VIDEO2 from DAV Professional Placement Group. Thanks for coming today. So Viva, I'll start with you. Is there a formula to finding the right talent? Is there something you have to follow, or does it just come naturally to recruiters? How does it work?
There is and there isn't. So there is part is that every company needs to have a bigger plan for what they want the talent for, and they have to match the strategy of the organizations with the culture of the people that they recruit. Where the mistakes happen is that people hire just purely for skill, and they don't take into cognizance the bigger picture of what they want to achieve long term. So you find people that will stay in the job and be satisfied for only 2 years and can't carry through the purpose of the company, broadly speaking. There isn't a formula. Sometimes you do get lucky and you meet a great person that could fulfill many functions in an organization, and that usually happens through a variety of networks, one of which would be the executive search route.
So it's not only about what's coming up on the CV, it's about much more. So what are the sort of soft qualities or the non-technical qualifications that, particularly an SME or a medium-sized business, what should they be looking for?
I think it depends on what they specifically need and where they are in the life cycle. But in general, almost every company, whether they're big or small and whatever industry they're in, if you look at the managers, for example, there's specific behaviors or competencies that are valued by employees across the spectrum. So, for example, the ability to motivate and inspire the team, the ability to support and treat employees fairly, the ability to have proper leadership skills, etc. Those are fairly universal and would be applied across the board.
So what are the most common mistakes, do you think, that recruiters make? Apart from just looking at the CV, do they go too much on personal recommendations? Are they wowed by the sort of first personal interaction? What do you see coming up again and again?
I probably would say making judgment calls on a person too quickly.
Okay.
So someone wise in the industry told me that if you don't like him or something about her in the first 10 minutes of the interview, you need to make a conscious decision to give them at least 5 questions and give them a fair answer to answer those questions before you make a judgment call about the individual. So
it's not just, you can't just go on that gut feel.
I would probably guard against that broadly. So you go and match your competencies of the individual, you go and match the skills that they have, and you have specific guidelines for how to get that right before you can choose. And other clients that we have usually try to offset that through a panel process of interviews so that everybody can weight a particular individual and their skills.
Gavin, when it comes to SMEs, obviously you've got a small business and you want to attract top talent, but you've got these bigger corporates who can potentially offer them bigger paychecks, extra benefits. How do you keep the talent in a small business or a startup?
One of the things that a small business can offer that a big company can't is the ability to play in a number of different roles. So when you're in an SMME, very often there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done and not enough people to do that. So what tends to happen is the people who put up their hand, who have the talent, if you will, and are able to get the job done, are able to fulfill a wider range of roles than if you're in a typical corporate.
And that can benefit them in the long run, because they're not just an accountant or an HR. They can be more than one thing, and they're becoming, they're sort of upskilling themselves within one organization.
Exactly. So what an SMME can offer that a corporate can't is skills development on a scale that typically wouldn't happen within a bureaucratic big corporate environment.
And from your perspective, how can SMEs compete for the best talent when bigger corporates have, you know, these pro headhunters on their side, and they have technology and they just have more resources? How can SMEs compete with them?
What I'm finding more and more lately is that the people that are looking for careers want to align it with their own values and their own personal philosophies and beliefs. So a lot of startup technology companies, for example, are attracting a bit more people from the corporate back to them, really because you're so closely aligned to the vision that the owner of an SME has, and you feel that whatever impact you make is going to contribute to a bigger picture and something that you can point at as a legacy 2 to 3 years down the line.
So you're aligning sort of with a global trend of aligning your work with your values, whereas maybe before it was more about the money.
Yeah.
Okay, so recruiters basically need to tap into this need for meaning and personal fulfillment. Is that what you're saying?
When we don't, yes, then the placements that get made don't last.
Okay.
But when there's the bigger picture to it, you find people stay longer with companies and they grow and they're actively invested in being part of the success.
I mean, Jessica, I completely agree with that statement as well. But I think it's not just up to the recruiters to tap into, it's also up to the SMMEs and the startups to say, let's be very clear about what we stand for, what we're trying to achieve, how we're trying to make a difference in the world, and communicate that effectively to the outside world. Because when you tap into that, then people automatically become attracted to your business, to your environment.
So just to finish off, once we've got this talent in the business, again I'm referring to SMMEs, how do you keep them there? How do you keep them from being poached? Are there practical tips that you can offer?
What I've seen that the smaller companies or even the startups that we service, what they do well is they create a culture where people get so engaged and so vested in the success of the business through a series of different steps. So the simple thing that every human being wants to be valued, they want to be recognized for what they do well. So have a really robust recognition program that everybody could tap into, whether that's through bonuses, simple things like you get a dinner or a lunch with the MD when you achieve certain objectives, and then you build that up to suit the different levels that you may have as your company grows. And again, keep realigning your vision and what your value proposition is over and over again, so that everybody's playing towards the same goals and for the same team.
Okay. Gavin, do you want to add to
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I think there's two ways to handle it. So the one is to say, let's understand what problems people who are currently in the business are experiencing. So if you're a talented individual, we don't want to find out why you left after you've already left. That's too late. We want to find out what are the issues now that are causing you to think of leaving in the first place. And then make sure that you address those issues, that those become a top priority for management to deal with in order to retain the talent effectively. And then the second part of it is to say, well, what is actually keeping people here in the company in the first place? So what are we doing right? What is the company really good at that we may not have realized that people value, in particular the talent within the organization that they value, and make sure that we, first of all, do more of the same. Secondly, push it even stronger and make sure that we communicate those values or the strengths of the company to the outside world.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to our guests, Gavin from Feedback Rocket and Viva from DAV Professional Placement Group. And from the team at Finweek, thank you, and we hope you've learned a lot from the discussion today.